And, with the Afghanistan crisis and the energy crisis, the economic crisis, it's just the border crisis. It's unbelievable what we're seeing. And now they're doubling down on $3.5 trillion spending bill. And, the budget that they presented absolutely has military funding dropped to the lowest it's been in 80 years, a 0% increase in Homeland Security, while hundreds of thousands of unvetted, untested, illegal aliens keep coming into our country. You can't make this stuff up. This is the most incompetent administration I believe I've ever seen in my entire lifetime, or I've even read about, probably in history.
And I know you actually put out some of those numbers on your social media, so I just want to read some of them. You say that it would produce over $68 trillion in new spending over the next decade, that $17 trillion in new debt, and also a higher corporate tax rate than even communist China. So looking at all this, do you think House Speaker Nancy Pelosi may be using some of these crises that we have at the border and Afghanistan to maybe turn away and deflect the nation's attention from what's going on in Congress? Do you think she'll be successful in ramming through this $3.5 trillion spending bill in reconciliation to also get infrastructure passed through?
Well, I've never seen more tone-deaf leaders than those in today's Democrat Party, and it's incredible. I really didn't think they were going to be able to get this thing through. There were 9 holdouts and Democrats, but they had their arms twisted, and these people are going to pay the piper next year in the midterm elections, I guarantee you. America doesn't want to keep spending this kind of money. They don't want to see inflation come roaring back, the highest we've seen in 15, 20 years. They don't want to see gasoline prices up 75, 80%, and cost of building materials going through the ceiling, cost of groceries. And then here we've got COVID positive, 7,000 COVID positive illegal aliens have been released down in the Rio Grande Valley in McAllen, Texas area. It's stunning to think that these people are that tone deaf, but they have an agenda, and that agenda is to take this country over and put it under the harsh rule and a dictatorship of socialism. That's what it looks like to me. And they don't care if they ruin the economy and bring in terrorists and the crime wave that is happening with their defund the police and demonizing police, plus allowing 8,700 criminal aliens have been arrested this year coming across. And these are not your just run-of-the-mill criminals. These are hardcore rapists, and these are robbers, and these are murderers. And quite frankly, I just really shudder for our national security.
And all of this, of course, costs a lot of money, costs us taxpayers a lot of money. So when it comes to that whole the whole controversy about the debt ceiling, do you think that might become the next crisis that we face? Because it seems like every day I turn on the news, I see Congress is passing trillions and trillions more in spending, of course, led by Democrats.
Well, it is trillions and trillions of dollars, and I've served in Congress for a number of years now. And, I never saw a $1 trillion bill until this session. Never did. Unless it was a big omnibus spending bill, which I never vote for. But this is every bill that comes out seems to be $1 trillion plus. This last one is 3.5. And I don't think the average American realizes what $1 trillion is, just how large a number that is compared to 1 million or 1 billion. 1 trillion seconds is 31,700 and some odd years. That's how big a number $1 trillion is. We're already 28.5 trillion in debt. This $3.5 trillion budget that they have just passed is going to raise spending by close to $60 trillion over the next 10 years. It's no wonder that the economy is on thin ice right now. We're seeing prices escalate. They're raising taxes that are going to really hurt the middle class. They lied and said they weren't going to raise taxes on any American that made under $400,000 a year, and yet they're raising the corporate taxes back up to where they are above China, which you mentioned to begin with. And capital gains is going to go through the ceiling from 20% up to 39%, depending on what state you're in. That's going to kill the real estate market. It's going to kill investments. They have no sense. or unless they're thinking about themselves and what they want to get out of America. And that's why they're bringing in hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions, literally, is what it's going to be by the end of this year. 2 million plus illegal aliens. Put them on a pathway to citizenship and to be able to vote, and then they are registered Democrat voters. This is what it's all about.
And so going off of that as well, we're seeing at least the Supreme Court stepping in on this issue. And of course, the Biden administration, the first thing when they got in office was to scrap President Trump's Remain in Mexico policy. And of course, now the Supreme Court is saying, no, you can't do that. Of course, it's something that you have to follow through and you now have to enforce. What's your reaction to that ruling that we saw on Tuesday?
I'm elated. I'm so happy that President Trump has named as many judiciary appointments to the Supreme Court, to appellate courts, and to federal district courts as well. And this is paying off. These people have sense. They're not radical Democrat activist judges that pay no attention to the U.S. Constitution. And they know that this was a good plan. President Trump's administration implemented this. It worked. We had our challenges in 2019. They went to bat, made agreements with several foreign countries, including Mexico, and they were warned. The Biden administration was warned by the Trump administration during the transition period not to change any of these programs and policies, and yet they did. And this is what we're seeing. Well, the Supreme Court has overruled them. What I worry about is this Biden administration. They want to drag their feet. They're going to slow roll everything. And quite frankly, I hope that the federal judiciary holds them accountable, because they've been known to just look the other way and ignore, federal court orders. So they better look like obeying this court order and reinstitute Remain in Mexico policy, the MPP policy.
Congressman, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you, Kara. God bless.
You as well. And on that note, we now turn to